la pelota al equipo azul. Avance hasta el gol.
Bien, hermano, bien. No le olvidé lo que le dije.
They started already.
Estamos ahí cerquita.
I don't talk as much as you. Es más tranquilo.
Este drink.
We need talking.
Es para allá.
No, you heard talk.
Oh, seriously? Alright. Aquí tienen la superficie al azul. Y avance hasta el gol. Está en el lado izquierda. No sé qué pasa. Oh. Ahí está luchando. Y tiene la pelota Mecos en blanco. Ya tiene dos que está luchando contra ella. Se para el juego por el chifle. Advantaje. Advantaje para el equipo blanco. Aquí empieza. Más. Eso es no tan excitante, pero aquí está. Ok, empieza. Los mecos lo tiene. Un contraataque por los azules. El culo de ese referee. Ok, aquí tiene. Avance. Avance. Okay. Está buscando un hueco en el equipo de blanco. Están haciendo pases alrededor. La defensa está sólido y fuerte por Mecos. Macos. Lo tiene azul. That's fine.
Daniel, you're up.
Okay. When I heard him talking, I'm like, they can see what's happening. You know,
I know,
they're
but
like
it
screaming.
sounds so much better when there's somebody talking.
Oh, okay.
When you're watching, if you're watching, it's just nothing. It's weird.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're here in the finals of the women's tournament in Florida, Fort Lauderdale. In blue, playing the mixed team Florida and Boston, and in white the Makos, East Haven Makos. We're in the first half. We're 3 minutes in, so because of the weather we had to shorten the games a little, so we have only 2 halves of 8 minutes. Not effective time, but running time. The Makos now attacking. They're really Makos are very motivated. You can see that they brought the ball to the surface. And the scrum at the surface, they pass the ball down to a player where 2 Makos players offering them on under the surface. Now the Makos are just rotating the ball in the safe corner. The corner play that we know from the European League and European style. Oh, that is a dangerous position here. There's no defender. Makos had the ball, but I think the forward came from on top and locked her up before she could actually score. There's interruption. The referees have interrupted the game, and it is free throw for the Boston Florida team. So they go to bring the ball to the middle of the game, and
I appreciate the effort.
Oh yeah.
okay, and that was okay. They're getting in position. So we had 4 women's teams here at this tournament. That's the second women's tournament within the North American League. As you can see, there are a few mixed teams. The Makos is one of the non-mixed teams. They have a lot of young players, very good swimmers, but many other teams are mixed. The Hammerheads team is also mostly a Hammerheads team with a few San Francisco players that help them. But here, so the Florida, Boston, both teams have very strong players, and they are definitely trying to to win this game here. So yeah, the attacker was in mid-water, so she was attacked from on top, but Boston was able to retain the ball. And again, the ball is locked up, but Florida Boston was able to get it out. And there's no one diving down, so everybody's floating the surface. That's not how it should be. Players should be diving down, offering themselves. It's after 2 days of playing here, and there was a clinic of the national team for the women's national team on Friday too. So many of these players have been the third day in the water, so you can see they're getting a little tired. They're not down as much as they should be. But now there's an attack strike from the Makos going in there. They're on the open side. That's the dangerous side. You can see there's players coming from the exchange band coming in. Counter strike attempt from Boston, Florida, but there was a bad pass, and the Makos player was able to intercept this pass. So Makos in possession again, going towards the goal, and that is dangerous, but a good cut here from the Boston, Florida team to stop this counter strike. But if you change the direction and possession of the ball quickly, that is the most dangerous when your team is still in the mode of striking and then switching to defense mode, and then you can see sometimes a good attacking team can use this confusion and try to score. These are the most dangerous moments in the game. But here now we can use counter strike. Two women from the Florida Boston team, both nicely on the ground, were counter striking. They got to the goal, but didn't have the air or the strength to actually then try to really go for the kill. But Boston remains in possession of the goal, of the ball. Sorry, and it's locked up now with at least two Makos players around one player of the Boston, Florida team. It's a surface scrum. There's one Florida player waiting under the scrum. That's how it's supposed to be, and that's why, see, she got the ball. The ball got loose and she was able to, and now one-on-one situation for a second, but the defender from the Makos already joined them. And the ball is at the surface again. And I must apologize, this is not a Florida Boston team, but it's a DC Boston team. I stand corrected. So this is a mixed team between women playing in Boston as well as in DC and Boston. So, and the ball got loose, but I think the Boston DC remained for a moment in possession, but then the Makos got it. They got it. They're diving down and trying to bring the ball again away from the surface game. The surface game is very exhausting. It is for both teams trying to fight at the surface. When you have a snorkel, you can actually, you're not constrained by the lack of air and oxygen, so you engage more in strength fighting, and once this situation is over, you're often way too exhausted to go diving again, so that is not good for the flow of the game. So overall, we like to have fewer scrums. It's not as nice for us viewers, but sometimes they can be used by players and by teams, especially if they have strong players. Now you can see there's several Makos attacking against the full DC Boston defense, and Makos are playing around. They're keeping a half distance, and there was a Makos player under the basket lying there in a perfect position. The pass reached her, but she was not able to score. Now Florida, DC Boston got the ball. They made a pass down to the other player, and they're swimming out. Bringing to the surface. It's still in their own half, but they're advancing, and they keep. And the interruption of the game This is halftime. Halftime, score is still 0-0 between the Connecticut East Haven Makers playing in white and the mixed team between Boston and DC playing in blue. Now we have a 2 to 3 minute break between the second half and the first half, and then we engage in the second half in a minute. The finals. Yeah, but of course, like stupid that it was not a Florida.
No, it's okay. I'm sorry. I was like,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't make
Thank
sense.
you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. That's the thing. Whenever you have information,
It's okay. You were right, half right, so it's okay. Sorry.
yeah. Sometimes really like.
Yeah, it's so bright out.
Yeah, exactly.
On the video, it's when you watch it at home, it's much brighter.
Next time, maybe you bring like a VR kind of thing. You know?
How is it better for the people at home, or is it like crisper versus being overcast like yesterday?
I think overcast is better.
Well, it's better for us here.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters that much for that because they have such a good low light sensor.
But sometimes if you have a strong light and it comes from a certain angle, then you have a shadow in half of the pool. You see that in some of the pools in where, or when, I mean this is not, but sometimes when the other cameras, when they switch and against the light a little bit, then it's all a little hazy and stuff. So sometimes really bright light in not ideal position and angle is bad for this.
Yeah.
So I think a more constant.
What do you want to drink? Let me get you something to drink.
Ooh, I have a sangria.
Sangria? I don't know if they,
A white sangria.
they serve that here.
Right? No, but if you drive like just 5 miles down there, there's a bar.
Didn't bring my car. Didn't bring my car. You know I don't have the Uber app.
No,
I get you water.
yeah, water. That's like actually a good second choice.
Got $5.
Oh, this is a U tip?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not sure. Know about it. I didn't.
Yeah.
Now you have pliers too.
Those are mine already.
Damn it. I thought you wouldn't notice maybe. It's like, oh, pliers.
Hey, great.
It's like, it needed exactly those.
I did. I lost a pair that looked just like that.
Welcome back to the second half here in the women's final at the North American League Tournament, the 21st North American League Tournament here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Bienvenidos a casa, estamos en la final de las mujeres aquí en el torneo en Florida de la Liga Norteamericana de Rugby Subacuático. Estamos en la final de blanco, juegan las Macas de East Haven, Connecticut, y en azul un equipo mixto de Boston y DC. Entonces estamos 0-0 en el principio de la segunda mitad, del segundo tiempo. Los dos equipos ya tenían oportunidades cerca de la cancha del otro equipo. Es bien equilibrado como jugada, y vamos a ver que este tiempo, el segundo tiempo, nos resulta como juego. So this is still 0-0 in the second half here of the game. The DC Boston team is rotating the ball close to the goal of the Makos, but the Makos defense is fully in place. You have one goalkeeper and a defender and a forward who's coming in. Now they're still taking the ball. They're waiting for a mistake in the defense. So they're tied up in the scrum. They bring it to the surface. Moving away from the goal of the Makers, which is good for the Makers here. There's a Makers player under the scrum waiting there to receive the ball. She didn't get the ball. There's still the players on the surface. they're drifting more towards the DC Boston goal. Y ahorita vemos que una de las Macas está esperando abajo de la cancha de Boston, pero que hay un cobro, no es un referee ball, sí, entonces ya va a ser un referee ball en la mitad de la piscina y la relajaron, que le ganó es Boston ganó este balón y las Macas ya están en llena defensa. Hay una media que está allá y hay un delantero, una arquera, una defensa y un gol. Marcaron. Here the Boston DC team scored from on top of the goal. That is a 1-0 lead for Blue Boston DC team in the second half of the women's final in the 21st Underwater Rugby Tournament in Florida.
How long are the quarters normally?
So we have 5 minutes left in the second half here. Because of some weather issues, we had to reduce the time we're playing, so it's only 2 times 8 minutes. So 3 minutes already gone from the first half. The 5 minutes for the Makos to equalize, to get even here, to have a chance at the win. Porque tenemos problemas con el tiempo, solo son 2 tiempos a 8 minutos, entonces en este caso nos quedan unos 4 minutos, 5 minutos en este segundo tiempo de la final de las mujeres en este torneo norteamericano de rugby subacuático. Es la segunda vez que tenemos un torneo de mujeres en la liga. Son 4 equipos que juegan y esta es la final de Boston, DC y de las Macas de Connecticut. And Boston DC is in possession of the ball. They're close to the surface, but you can see there's a Makers player under the scrum. They're going for the ball. We spoke to the Makers players before. I know they want to win. There are a lot of players who swim every day together, like many times a week together, and they're keen on not giving up here. There was an interruption of the game. It's a free throw for holding without the ball in favor of DC, Boston DC. So Boston DC will now start in the middle of the pool with the ball, having another chance to structure the offense to get close to the goal. They get into position, and that was the sign for the referee to release the ball. They're taking it slow tag, they're still in possession, a double pass, good, the player doubled down, back in the corner to receive the pass from her teammate. Now you can see one Boston DC player is going close to the goal. I think that's Laurie Peacock, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, they're waiting, they're playing time, the 1-0 lead. It's not a very comfortable lead, so they definitely cannot just relax, but of course Boston DC now can take it a little easier, because if they take it over the time another 3.5 minutes, 3 minutes now, then they win this tournament. But now they're at the surface right on top of the goal of the Makers, moving away. Yo veo que la pelota es en la superficie cerca de la cancha de las Macas y pero ahorita están moviendo más en dirección de afuera, más dirección de la cancha de DC Boston. Pero ahorita luchar en la superficie no es en interés de las Macas, porque nos quedan unos 2 minutos y medio en este partido y el Boston ya está 1-0, entonces las Macas tienen que solver el balón, soltar el balón y marcar. Y ahorita hay una posibilidad que están en el fondo, hacer un contraataque. Pero es bien despacio. No es muy exclusivo. Hay dos marcas abajo, pero hay una defensa y también una arquera de Boston DC. Entonces es difícil entrar así. Pero hay una que quiere marcar ahorita, va de encima de la arquera.
Lo mantiene agarrado de Las Vegas.
A mí no me manda nadie.
Pero eso, la agarraron, entonces ya otra vez está en la superficie. Ahí nos queda menos de un minuto, entonces si las marcas quieren ganar este partido o empatar por ahorita, tienen que marcar ahora, tienen que poner todo 100% para marcar. We have less than 1 minute to play in this game, so the Mecos have the last chance right now. They have to push everything to really score here. But so taking it slow, they may not be aware of how constricted the time is, so they should really, if they want to, they have to score right now. And you can see one player stole the basket, but she didn't have enough air or didn't think the ball would reach her, so she went up to the surface again. The ball is moving, pulled by one DC Boston player more to the center of the field, moving away from the goal, so that's like the best strategy. The ball got loose, it fell down, a Mecos player got the ball, but the forward was right there to forecheck. And now again, the Mecos are attacking, and I might have been wrong about the time. I've seen one clock here that is running from the commentator's desk booth, but I'm not sure that is the actual game time, so we may actually have another minute or so to play. So the Mecos taking it out to the middle of the pool to restructure their attack. There's no one to play to, but the player is very calm. She doesn't make a stupid pass, she just keeps on hanging to the ball. And now they were pushing, and there's a free throw, pushing, holding against the ball for Boston DC. Boston DC now will get the ball again. Boston DC will get the ball again from the middle. May have some confusion. The Mecos thought they would get the free throw, but I can see the referee sign here. It's very clear that the free throw is against the Mecos. So this is and this was the game time. Ya acabó el partido. Ganaron las muchachas de Boston DC 1-0. That was the end of the match. We've seen that the Boston DC combined team won 1-0 here in this women's final. That means that the winner of this women's tournament within the North American League for Underwater Rugby is the combined Boston DC team. The Mecos from East Haven, Connecticut came in second. It was a tough game. There weren't too many chances. Both teams had a good defense lying there. The Mecos should have pushed maybe a little harder in the last minutes of the game, because if they lose 2-0 or 1-0, that doesn't matter. But it's always easy to say that here from the comfort of the commentator's booth. Both teams did a great job in advancing underwater rugby here in the North American context, and we definitely can look forward to more women's tournaments in North America, in Canada, as well as the United States.